Thank you, Lascan Corla, and welcome the opportunity to speak on this particular piece of legislation. And I'm glad that we have in the gallery the students from, I think, 6th class in St Mary's National School in Oireachtas, because I was saying to their classmates in 5th class just a few minutes ago that I was coming in here to the House to actually talk about pension contributions that are going to directly affect each and every one of the students there. Now, I know it's going to be a long time before you're going to reach 66 years of age, but the decisions that we are making here in Dáil Éireann today are going to have a direct impact on whether you're going to be able to get a pension when you reach 66 years of age in many years' time. And what we're trying to do is to put a system in place to ensure that there is enough money there when each and every one of you as students go to work, go to college and go to work and eventually retire a long time from now, that there will be enough money there to actually pay for your pension. So it is a critically important decision that we're making here in this House in terms of the long-term viability of the state pension. And this is something, in fairness, that we on the Joint Oireachtas Committee have been looking at for a considerable period of time. And in fairness, Minister, with both you and the officials, I think we could nearly give them frequent flyer points for coming in before our committee. And we accept that we need to ensure that our pension system is sustainable and viable into the future. As you know, our own committee made a recommendation to increase the PRSI rates, to increase them for both employers but also the self-employed. And, you know, people will be critical of politicians not taking decisions, but our committee did make a clear decision in relation to that, because we do believe that it is possible to retain the pension age at 66 while altering both the rates and participation rates within our workforce, which is an issue that I'm going to return to in a second. But it is fundamentally important that we are all conscious of ensuring that our pension is sustainable well into the future. Now, Minister, as you know, the Parliamentary Budget Office earlier this week produced its spring commentary. And while a number of issues raised the headlines in relation to that particular analysis, what jumps out for me in relation to the Parliamentary Budget Office analysis is that the report highlights that the participation of women in our workforce, while it went up during COVID, it has flatlined since that. Now, as you know, Minister, our committee has specifically looked at this issue and has made very strong recommendations that if we are going to have sustainable pensions into the future, if the students from St Mary's School in Oireachtas and every other primary school around this country are going to have a pension, a viable pension, one that meets their day-to-day needs when they do reach pension age at 66, then it is imperative that we encourage and facilitate as many women as possible to re-enter the workforce or to participate in the workforce. And sadly and disappointingly, we have seen that since COVID, while there was a lot of flexibility during the time of COVID, which facilitated more women engaging with the workforce, that flexibility has not continued through since that, and that is why we've seen a flatlining in terms of the number of women in our workforce. Now, this is really disappointing, considering that we are now in a net deficit in terms of employees, where we're actively encouraging people from outside of Ireland and outside the European Union to come in to fill job vacancies, and yet we cannot seem to increase the participation rates among women within our workforce. Now, one of the things, Minister, that our committee has consistently raised in its recommendations is the gender anomalies in relation to some of the proposals that are being brought forward. As you know, we made 3 recommendations in relation to this particular piece of legislation. One of those recommendations was to carry out a gender analysis, an impact on the gender impact of these particular proposals. And that was on foot of evidence that we received from the Irish Congress of Trade Unions. And they pointed out that they were concerned that the proposal in relation to top-up payments for dependent family members, combined with the proposed loss of up to €77 a week for low-wage part-time workers, will disproportionately impact on people in low-paid employment, but also disproportionately impact on women. And we need to be encouraging and facilitating women to participate in the workforce rather than creating barriers to that. Now, sadly, Minister, this is not the first time I've come into the House and raised this gender anomaly with you. As you know, during the passage of the auto-enrolment bill, I highlighted those particular issues. And again, the Joint Oireachtas Committee at that time put a very strong focus on the gender issues regarding the auto-enrolment bill. We made the point that it was discriminating against women who were leaving the workforce for caring roles in terms of maternity leave and other caring responsibilities. That the auto-enrolment bill did not correctly provide a balance for women. Now, Minister, you said in your response that, look, this is something that can be looked at again. But the reality is, Minister, it's only once in a decade we get an opportunity to bring in this type of reform in relation to pension legislation, in terms of PRSI contributions, and disappointingly, we are ignoring women again in another piece of legislation. The recommendations that were made in terms of the auto-enrolment bill on gender were not addressed in that legislation. The recommendation that we as a committee have made in relation to gender in this bill have also been ignored, and the assessment that we asked for in relation to our pre-legislative scrutiny of the bill has not been provided for as part of this process. And that, Minister, I believe is disappointing. I think it's putting women at a significant disadvantage in the longer term in terms of their pension contributions and their overall pension rate. And as you know, if you were listening to the news reports this morning, where another study has come out and said that women will have to work 8 years longer in order to obtain a pension equivalent to their male counterparts. And it's because of anomalies that we are building into the types of legislation that are being put forward here. Yes, that was in relation to private pensions, but we have done it in terms of low-paid employment regarding the auto-enrolment bill, and we're now doing it again here, where specifically this committee has asked for a gender assessment of the implications of this legislation, which have not been forthcoming. And the reason, Minister, that I am and the committee is so strong on this issue is that when we looked at the pension age and when we made recommendations to you in relation to that, one of the significant aspects to the reason that we came to the conclusions we did was in terms of increasing the participation rate for women, but also for people with a disability in the workforce. Now, the reality is that we have seen during COVID, the participation rates went up to 65%, which was a significant jump on the rate prior to that, which was about 62%. And that was by bringing flexibility into the workforce, which facilitated many women participating in the workforce at that stage. But also it's about addressing childcare issues that haven't adequately been addressed. They've been promised and promised by government after government, but they haven't adequately been addressed. And this is actually impeding the long-term viability of the state pension by not facilitating women contributing to the workforce where they wish to do so. And it's the same in relation to people with a disability. Our committee at the moment, and yesterday we had held hearings with a number of disability groups who spoke about the inbuilt barriers within the social welfare system presently that is locking them out of the workforce today. And we need to be addressing these barriers and anomalies that are actually stopping people contributing to the economy, are stopping people getting work in their own right where they want to do it, and accessing training and education that would actually facilitate them in doing that. And as I say, Minister, I am disappointed that this is not being reflected in the consideration that is before us today in relation to this legislation. And I believe that it is a weakness in it that we're not fully addressing the issues regarding low-paid employment or women in the workforce, that we're not addressing issues regarding people with a disability who want to work, but because of the way the disability payments and supports are structured at the moment, they're effectively acting as a barrier against them doing so. And I think we have the opportunity now, as we're reforming the pension regime across the board in this country, now is the time to address these. We shouldn't miss this opportunity, and I would ask you, in the context of the case that I've made on the auto-enrolment bill, the case that I've made here today, in advance of committee stage of this bill, to look again at these very specific and concerning issues. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Deputy.